Welcome back. We're doing an analysis on the federal Liberal Party in Canada. And of course, they're forming the government. They are the government led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And joining me to share his insights is Andrew Perez. Andrew, before we went to commercial break, we were discussing almost this unprecedented lead that the Conservatives have and what that might look like when we come down to seat counts. So, of course, in politics, everything can change on a dime. And I always like to use the expression, if the election were held today, this is what would happen. So if the election were held today, what are we looking at when we talk about seat distribution?
So there's no clear answer to that question, Tanya. I saw a poll this morning, which is the worst I've ever saw in terms of seat count, which had the Liberals in fourth place. It basically had the Bloc Québécois, the NDP, and the Liberals all bunched around the same place. I believe the Bloc had about 42 seats, the NDP 38 seats, and the Liberals 32. But that would put the Liberals in fourth place in Parliament. Unprecedented. We know in 2011, the Liberals under Ignatia fell to third place with 34 seats. Most of the polls that I've seen, though, over the last year would put the Liberals anywhere between 55 and 80 seats, still in the official opposition place. And so I'm hoping that the party will be the official opposition and be able to rebuild, because I think sweeping reform within the party, and we can get into this, not just related to policy, but around organization, fundraising, will be critical in those opposition years.
Okay, so let's talk about what you see needs to be reorganized or bettered, ameliorated within the Liberal Party. Like, what is the problem structurally?
Number one, we're no longer a grassroots party. It may sound cliche to say that parties should be bottom up, not top down. But under Trudeau's reign, the party has increasingly become top heavy. And you have to go back to the opposition years when Trudeau first became leader in 2013 and look at some of the constitutional changes to the party that were made. The party used to have autonomous and influential provincial wings. Those wings still exist, but they have very little teeth. There used to also be a provision within the party constitution that allowed party delegates at a convention to bring forward a leadership review. That was axed. Now a leadership review can only be brought forward following an election defeat. And of course, Mr. Trudeau has never lost an election. He's won three back-to-back elections, so there's never been an opportunity for a leadership review. Now, I don't think a leadership review was merited 2 or 3 years ago, but certainly given the last year we've had, I think a lot of grassroots Liberals across the country would want to support a leadership review.
So
So those
just
are just
just on that
yeah.
point there, though. So are you, if I understand correctly, because I've been involved in like grassroots things at the Conservative Party, and I really appreciate conventions and the policies and the constitutional changes that are made that a lot of the those who don't play insider baseball with
Yeah.
politics don't get. Are you suggesting then, or are you stating rather, that there is no mechanism on in any capacity for a way to evaluate the leader or to have a leadership review at this point?
There absolutely isn't, Tanya.
Hmm.
And so there has been pressure exerted from a couple backbench MPs, from some former ministers who have come out of the woodwork to call on Trudeau to resign. But all that is calls. There's no teeth. There's nothing binding on the prime minister. And we saw with the St. Paul's by-election, which was a stunning political defeat, more and more Liberals, some former cabinet ministers like John Manley, Wayne Easter, and Catherine McKenna, who actually served prominently in Trudeau's
Hmm.
government. In the days following that stunning upset, they came out and called on the prime minister to resign. That had zero impact. And we just came through a summer whereby the prime minister refused to meet the caucus. Several members of the caucus issued an open letter asking for caucus to convene following the by-election defeat. Now, they did have a caucus retreat in Nanaimo, BC in early September, but again, very little concrete came out of that. And so by all indications, this prime minister is sticking around, regardless of a public opinion, regardless of what the caucus might think and what grassroots Liberals feel. He is sticking around, and I worry what that will mean for the future of my party.
We only have 30 seconds to commercial, but I know if there's enough of a groundswell, especially those. I mean, you need organizers to win an election. If your organizers are abandoning ship, then it's highly unlikely you're going to win. Is there not some kind of coalitions that's going to be formed that really will say, "Hey, enough's enough. We're done with you."
There are more by-elections coming up, so there are possible other events that could lead to that. But I'll just say briefly, Tanya, the culture of the party has changed. The brand of the party is the
Mm.
Trudeau brand, and the Liberal Party brand is not strong anymore. So there
Okay.
isn't that independent liberal voice.